Quintet. That was beautiful. I loved it. It was awesome. The right and perfect persons are always here. So it's really a joy to be here giving the Sunday talk. As Dinah said, my name is Allison Berry. For those who don't know, I'm one of the licensed professional practitioners here at this center. And also, as she mentioned, Reverend Jeffrey is on a well-deserved vacation in Hawaii, and so we love that. We know he's going to come back refreshed and enthused. We also know that he spent the last week down in Dallas with the CSL Ministers Conference. So I bet he's going to come back with so much stuff. We'll have to hang on to our seats. Okay. And I'll tell you, I was so excited to be here this morning that I got up very early. And I'm going to tell on myself, I have navy blue pants on with black. I did not notice it until I got to the center. So anyway, it's a big faux pas, but here we are. And I also let Reverend Jeffrey know that I need the podium right in the center because I'm not a walker-arounder. And I'm proving it to him that I can be a walker-arounder. But that's it. That's all you're going to see from me. So here we are. We're going to have fun, and happy October. What I do get to do is introduce the new theme of the month, which is Building the Beloved Community. It's based on a book by Jim Lockhart. And yes, it's really fabulous book. I should have brought it up for show and tell, but see me after service and I'll do that. So what do we mean by beloved community? We can first think of it in the universal sense, and what most embodies and who really epitomizes explaining the beloved community is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so these are his words. The end is reconciliation. The end is redemption. The end is the creation of the beloved community. In the beloved community is the type of love that can transform opponents into friends. It is this love which will bring about miracles in the hearts of mankind. And now also, there's another context, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is a more local concept of the beloved community. And so we can think of our center and what that might look like as a beloved community. So what I do know is that this type of community is a collection of individuals who are learning to love ourselves, love one another, and love the universe. I also know it's a place where we practice being the person that we want to be. We sometimes miss the mark, but we get to practice, and it's a safe space to support each other in that. It's also where our faith and spiritual principles is realized as true compassion and service. And it's a place of continual progress toward a vision. The progress might have some ups and downs, but there's a sense of forward motion. Does that sound like us? Come on, say yeah. Thank you. I needed the yes. So it's a perfect time where we can say that beautiful focus statement that we've developed, and it's on the screen above you there, as well as on the wall, that beautiful artwork. So I'm going to play Reverend Jeffrey and say, let's really say it with conviction and enthusiasm, because he'll hear it eventually. So here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Wow, that was fabulous. So I want to just take a moment or two to sort of reflect on where we've been and where we're going. Reverend Jeffrey landed here as our consulting minister last March. And it's certainly my belief, as well as many of our beliefs, that this was a divine appointment of his collective consciousness, cultivated consciousness, matching up with our collective consciousness. And over the past 7 months, we've gone really deep with spiritual studies. We've continued to heal both individually and collectively. And I love that number 7. Seven's a number of completion. And one of our biggest shifts that has taken place is embracing the belief that this is our community. RCCSL is not minister-centric, but rather it's community-centric. And over, he asks us in the Sunday service, whose center is this? And we're supposed to resoundingly, yes, our center. Okay, you got all this, good. But we do know also that Reverend Jeffrey is our beloved spiritual leader and senior minister. We voted on that September 9th. Yay, woohoo! And the intent is that in January he will be full-time with us. So together we really are birthing something brand new, and it's very exciting. So I want to talk for a second about the qualities that are important in a beloved community. And they include such qualities as the consciousness of compassion, of deep self-knowledge and introspection, of love and connection, of healing, of vision, of contribution and resiliency. But here's kind of the kicker. Finding and nurturing the compassionate heart and living from that loving center is the ultimate goal of a beloved community. So that's why we're talking about cultivating a beloved community this morning. It's always great to start with words by Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science and the developer of the science of mind philosophy. And so here's what he says. Compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the unified attempt to uncover the divinity in each other. Compassion is the most gentle of all human virtues, for it is the outpouring of the divine givingness through all. When members of a community love one another, that community is solid, prosperous, and happy. So compassion is a way of being that allows us to uncover the divinity in each other. What exactly does that mean, the divinity in each other? And so I go back to one of Science of Mind's 10 core concepts. You know I always do that. And it's the very first one. That means it's important. And it's the core concept about oneness. And its essence says that God is the source of all that is, and God is all that is. Everything in the universe is made of God's substance and is a unique, individualized expression of God. So, of course, there is divinity in each of us. That's one of our core beliefs. And why talk about oneness when I'm really focused on cultivating compassion? Well, until there is a true recognition of the divinity in everything and everyone, how can there really be any sense of true fellowship and experience of kinship? So as we're cultivating compassion, we also set an intention to embody the principle of oneness. You know, really that's the key to everything. So no matter what the talk is, it always gets back to that. Because absolutely the only thing we ever need to heal is a sense of separation. Sometimes in the human realm, we think we're separate from God. In reality, we're not. So we treat that sense of separation and come back to oneness. And we use affirmations, we use meditation and affirmative prayer, and all that allows us to open ourselves to our innate compassionate heart. Now, one of the things I really love about religious science, I love many things, but is that we honor all paths to God. Holmes recognized that all religions are based on common, universal spiritual principles, and he synthesized those down magnificently. So when I'm thinking of compassion, I naturally turn to Buddhism for beautiful ways to cultivate and practice compassion. One of my absolute favorite authors is Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield. He's written many fabulous books, but I was really perusing one of my favorites called The Wise Heart. And here's what he writes. One of the principles in Buddhist psychology is that compassion is our deepest nature. It arises from our interconnection with all things. Now, layers of trauma and ignorance can obscure our compassion. On a global scale, ignorance can manifest as racism, violence, injustice, exploitation. On a personal scale, ignorance can manifest as anxiety, addiction, and aggression. And it's important to note that compassion is not codependence. It does not mean we sacrifice ourselves blindly for others. Compassion is a circle that encompasses all beings, including ourselves. Don't you love that? There's a yes in compassion and also a no, said with the same courage of heart. No to abuse, no to racism, no to violence, both personal and worldwide. The no is said not out of hate, but out of unwavering care. I'm going to say that again. The no is said not out of hate, but out of unwavering care. And in Buddhism, it's known as the fierce sword of compassion. What I believe is that we all have fundamental nobility. Nobility, not in the sense of medieval times and knights and all that good stuff, but nobility deriving from the Greek word no, G-N-O, meaning wisdom or inner illumination. So each of us has to find our own way to sense the underlying goodness in others. Sometimes for me it's useful to look at someone and think about what they may be like, have been like as a young child, innocent, beautiful. And each time we honor someone's dignity, we help those around us. The hearts resonate exactly the same way the strings of an unplucked violin vibrate with sounds of a violin nearby. Psychology documents this as mood contagion or limbic resonance. I know we've all felt that when a joyfully expressive person enters a room, you just feel it. And I've heard many times that the Dalai Lama embodies this sacred perception, seeing what's holy in everyone he meets. And I've read many times that if he's staying at a hotel, when leaving, he asks to meet the entire hotel staff. So there's a long line of maids and dishwashers and secretaries and managers, and he lovingly touches each hand, vibrating the strings of each heart. So when we see the goodness of those before us, the dignity and shining spirit within them resonates with our admiration and respect. So at this time, I'd like to ask Wayne Wilson to come forward. We have a beautiful ritual that is being done in Sunday services at CSL centers across the country today. So we'll take part in that.
In light of all that's transpired in the last 2 weeks, particularly, we have a powerful opportunity to recognize the unacknowledged pain body in our collective space. This is the power of community, that we come together to feel and heal, to honor and recognize what most will not say, but everyone feels. With that, I'd like to have all the women, those on the gender spectrum who identify in the room, to please stand. Women. Men, I invite you to stay seated. Make eye contact with a woman near you and repeat after me. I see you. I hear you. Your voice matters to me. I see you. I hear you. Your voice matters to me. I see you. I hear you. Your voice matters to me. I see you. I hear you. Your voice matters to me. Beloved women, I cannot know and do not know what it is to walk your walk. I don't know what it is to live your experiences. I don't know what it is to be shunned, quitted, dismissed, disqualified, or ignored. I do not know what it is to routinely not have my story believed. While I do not know what it is to have these experiences, I do know that I can take responsibility right here and now to create a safe place in this spiritual community and say to you clearly and directly, men, please repeat, I see you. I hear you. Your voice matters to me. I see you. I hear you. Your voice matters to me. May the vibration of our affirmation and the meditation of our heart move out into the wider world and make a difference. And so it is. Thank you.
So isn't that powerful? It's indeed the compassionate heart. I know we've raised the vibration in this room. So I'd like to share 3 ways to cultivate compassion. And the first is a spiritual practice. On a day when you are in a good mood, you haven't overslept, all that stuff, rushing around, get up and set the intention that you will look for the inner nobility of 3 people. Carry this intention in your heart as you speak with them. If you encounter difficult people, save those for another day. That's easy for me to do. Okay, we start small. Start with where we're at, and eventually this practice can be expanded to include strangers and those difficult people. But aim to see as many beings as you can with a silent, loving respect. It's that namaste consciousness, of course. The divine in me honors the divine in you. And go through the day as if you were the Dalai Lama undercover. Okay, so that's one. Second, I invite us to embrace inclusivity with a compassionate heart. Maybe even meditate on that word, inclusivity. In the polarized environment today, I'll tell you that I'm challenged with my husband's large family, and it's large, who are split right down the middle with opposing political views. And they all come to my house at Thanksgiving, all of them, all 35 or 40. But I will tell you, I can't afford to judge them, or anyone else for that matter. And I do get to practice separating the person and the idea, and love the people, because I do love them. They're really fantastic. In this beloved community, we too can disagree on ideas, but the compassion comes into play when we listen and speak with respect, remembering that we're all God. This beloved community is, and any spiritual community or group of persons, it's really our laboratory to kind of experiment. And setting healthy boundaries is always good. I will tell you that I'm not Facebook friends with several family members, but, and there's a big but, no one is outside the circle of love. Just because I've set that boundary, I still really absolutely love them. So including everyone in prayer, visualizing this country and planet in an inclusive circle of love keeps me grounded as I navigate expressing what I stand for. And it truly is a way of living out of a compassionate heart. I have a friend that calls this practicing the 3 Ps: pause, pray, and proceed. And I love that. And lastly, as corny as it sounds, practicing random acts of kindness cultivates compassion. I was remembering one morning, a number of years ago, when my dad and I were eating breakfast at Mimi's Cafe. And the waitress came over and told us that someone had paid our bill. And she said that the woman who paid it was watching the warmth that had been expressed between my dad and myself, and said it reminded her of her own relationship with her father, who had recently died. And so she wanted to gift us breakfast in honor of her father's memory. And I love that. It's a joy not only to give kindness, but it's a joy to receive it. And along these lines, there was a beautiful daily guide in the August Science of Mind magazine written by Reverend David Alt. He told about a researcher who was studying the migration of monarch butterflies. And the researcher observed one of the native guides deep within the forest gently handling a single butterfly who had been drowning in a puddle. And this butterfly was really weak and frenzied. So the guide held the distressed insect in his hand to provide warmth. And after a while, the butterfly regained her strength and fluttered away. This Samaritan activity seems so small in the scheme of life, is really at the heart of kindness and caring, and it's example truly of unconditional compassion. And so we get to do those sorts of things. Remember, keep that top of mind of just doing, and I like to do the kindness in secret. Sometimes I want credit, so I got to admit, but a lot of times I don't. It's really powerful and mystical and wonderful when you do it in secret. So let's practice those random acts of kindness. So as a beloved community, we share in the collective migration of consciousness. Compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the unified attempt to uncover the divinity in each other. Let's take the practice of seeing the inner nobility in others, truly embracing inclusivity and surrounding all in the circle of love, and gifting others with acts of kindness. As Holmes says, when the members of community love one another, that community is solid, prosperous, and happy. Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. And so it is.